Number borrowed minutes. The Titan's hand closes around Armin's leg before Eren can scream his name a second time. He is 40 meters away. His gas gauge trembles somewhere below a quarter tank. And he already knows, the way you know weather is coming before the sky admits it, that it isn't enough. Behind him the whole of Trost is a wound still bleeding smoke into the sky. Screaming, and gunfire, and the wet, patient sound of 30-foot bodies finding something to do with their hands, and none of it matters. None of it has ever mattered as much as the 40 meters between him and Armin. Thomas is gone already, 3 streets back. Folded into a mouth that didn't even slow down to chew. Mina's scream cuts off mid-note, the way a song stops when someone lifts the needle. Eren fires his hooks into the roof tile anyway. He always will. He hasn't stopped trying even once. Not in 11 tries. Not when trying has never once mattered. He doesn't reach him in time. He never does. The Titan lifts Armin to its open mouth, unhurried, almost gentle, the way a child lifts something small to look at it more closely, and Armin is still looking back at Eren when it happens. Not afraid, not yet. Just confused. Like he can't understand why Eren isn't there already. Like some part of him is still waiting to be saved right up until the moment there's no more Armin left to wait. The world goes white at the edges. Then it goes back to before. This is the 12th time. Eren doesn't waste the first 10 seconds anymore. He used to lie there on the warm rooftop tile blinking at the sky, mouth open, some animal part of his brain still insisting that scream had been real. That grief doesn't just switch off like a lamp. He doesn't have that kind of time to spend anymore. He sits up, checks his gauges, full, they're always full here, and starts moving before Mina finishes the joke about Connie. That means they have. He's counted. 640 seconds left. 640 seconds is not very long to save someone. It is an eternity to fail them in. He has tried talking. Screamed at Thomas to take the east stairwell, at Mina to stay on the rooftops, at Armin to just run, and not wait for anyone, and every time, something else fills the hole he made. Redirect Thomas east and a Titan is already denned in that alley, patient, and Thomas walks into it instead. Keep Mina off the rooftops and she twists an ankle in the street and slows down just enough. He has learned that this stretch of Trost does not forgive being told no. It simply finds another way to say yes. He has tried killing the thing before it arrives, has memorized which rooftop it climbs onto, has been waiting there with his blades already drawn, and there are 2 of them, not one. And the one he doesn't know about comes from the east while he's finishing the one he does. He has tried carrying Armin himself, hooking into his belt and hauling him bodily through the sky, and that time they made it 4 streets further than ever before, far enough that Eren let himself believe, for one full breath, that this was the one. Before his gas ran dry midair, and they came down hard into a collapsed roof, and the Titan was on them before Armin could get his legs under him. He has tried. Once, simply not being there. Hanging back, telling himself that whatever keeps killing Armin needs him specifically as bait, that removing himself from the equation might change something. Armin died 9 seconds faster that time. Eren has not tried that again. He has tried leading it away with noise, cracked flares, his own name shouted raw until his throat gave out, and twice it worked. And both times a second Titan he hadn't accounted for finished what the first one couldn't. He has tried. God help him, praying, on a loop he's since decided doesn't count. This time, he tries the sewer grate. It buys 3 extra minutes, and costs him a Titan he didn't know was nesting in the runoff tunnel. Armin dies on schedule anyway, 4 streets further along. Like the wall itself keeps better time than Eren does. The world goes white. It goes back to before. 13th time. And it's Reiner who changes something first. Left, Reiner says, before Thomas can even open his mouth to point right, toward the alley that has swallowed Thomas whole in 9 of Eren's tries. Right toward the alley Eren has learned to dread with his whole body. Eren's head snaps around. Reiner isn't looking at him. He's looking at the alley the way you look at a door you already know what's behind. How do you not now? Reiner hauls Thomas by the back of his jacket. Hard enough that Thomas stumbles. Hard enough that it looks, to anyone who isn't watching for it, like simple panic. Eren is watching for it. He has spent 12 lifetimes worth of these same 20 minutes learning every shape panic can take on these rooftops. And this isn't one of them. This is certainty wearing panic's clothes. Armin doesn't die in the alley that time. He dies 4 minutes later, on a rooftop, in the same hands as always, and the world goes white at the edges. And Eren wakes up on warm tile with a scream still lodged behind his teeth and a new question underneath the grief. For the first time in 13 tries, the next time the tile is warm beneath him, Eren skips the joke, skips the run. He finds Reiner already in the stairwell, where the supply crates are kept, like Reiner knew he'd come, and shoves him against the wall hard enough to crack plaster. How did you know? To his credit, Reiner doesn't pretend not to understand. He looks almost relieved, which is its own kind of terrible. How many times, he says instead of answering. Not a dodge. A trade. 13. Eren's hands are shaking on Reiner's collar. You 9, Reiner says quietly. For me it's 9. A pause. His jaw working like the number costs him something to say out loud. I thought I was losing my mind the first 4. Eren lets go. Doesn't mean to, his hands just open. The way they do when something is too heavy to keep holding with anger alone. You're not. I know, Reiner says. That's the part that's actually driving me crazy. They don't trust each other yet. Trust is not built in a single stairwell confession. But distrust, it turns out, is not a good enough reason to keep failing alone, when failing together might buy an extra minute. So they try. 14th loop. 15th, 16th. They learn each other's blind spots the way soldiers learn a battlefield. Not from liking each other, but from necessity. The way you'd learn the footing of ice, you have no choice but to keep crossing. They stop calling them attempts around the 20th. Eren isn't sure who starts calling them loops instead. Only that by the time the word exists, between them it already feels old, worn smooth like a stair tread. They try together what neither could alone. Reiner is stronger than Eren expected, faster than his broad, steady build suggests, and he moves through the rooftops of Trost like he's done this before. Not 13 times, not 20, but before that, in some life Eren isn't shown any part of. Eren notices this the way you notice a held breath. Notices that Reiner never once looks surprised by how a titan's weight shifts before it lunges. Notices that a blade cut on Reiner's palm closed over and under a loop once, and neither of them mentioned it. And Eren has not stopped thinking about it since. He notices too the particular way Reiner goes quiet every time they pass near the outer wall. Like there's a conversation happening in his head that has nothing to do with titans, and everything to do with stone. How do you know how they move, he asks, on the 22nd loop, or the 23rd? The numbers blur together, become a texture instead of a count. Training, Reiner says. That's not training. Then I don't know, Reiner says, in a voice that means drop it. And Eren, who has learned exactly nothing this month except how many ways there are to fail the same friend to death, doesn't have the patience left to fight 2 wars at once. He drops it. He tells himself he's dropping it. Some small cold part of him is simply filing it away, the way you'd file the location of a knife. On the 28th loop, Eren tries doing it without him. Tells Reiner to stay behind, that he doesn't need whatever this is, the debt, the guilt, the strange steadying presence of a stranger who knows too much. He makes it further alone than he expects, and then not nearly far enough, and watches, from too many rooftops away, Reiner arrive anyway, having followed him the whole time without being asked, and reach Thomas 1 second too late to matter, and Armin 4 seconds too late to matter. Afterward neither of them says anything about it, because there isn't anything to say that isn't already obvious. They need each other for this, whether or not they've earned the right to. They fight about tactics. They fight, once, about whether to tell Armin the truth on the loop where Eren, worn down to something brittle, tries it anyway, sits Armin down before the retreat even starts, and tells him everything. The Titan, the hands, the 26 times he's watched it happen. Armin's face does something Eren will never be able to unsee. Some mixture of love and horror that ends, 4 minutes later, exactly the same way it always ends, except now Armin dies knowing, dies looking at Eren like he's the one who did it. Reiner has to physically drag Eren off the rooftop afterward, where he sits unmoving, not resetting, not screaming, just staring at the place where it happened, until the world goes white, and takes the look on Armin's face along with it. Never again, Reiner says, once they're both back on warm tile, once the 640 seconds have started counting down again. It isn't a suggestion. You don't get to tell me what you don't get to make him die scared just because you're tired of dying tired, Reiner says. And it lands so exactly on the nerve Eren didn't know he had that he doesn't have a single word to throw back. There's a loop, the 31st or near it, where Reiner simply doesn't move when the 640 seconds start, sits on the rooftop with his knees drawn up like a boy half his size, and when Eren, furious, demands to know what he's doing, Reiner only says, nothing, for once, and doesn't get up, and Eren has to watch Armin die without him alone. Something in that particular horror is so much worse than all the others that Eren doesn't speak to Reiner for 2 full loops afterward, which is either 480 seconds or an eternity, depending which of them you ask. There's a loop near the 50th where Eren finally says the thing he's been swallowing since the 22nd. You don't even look scared, he snaps. chasing Reiner across a rooftop with more venom in his voice than he means to put there. Doesn't any of this touch you at all? Reiner goes so still that for a second Eren thinks he said something unforgivable. And then Reiner's fist closes in his collar, faster than Eren has ever seen him move, faster than should be possible for someone his size. And for one long heartbeat Eren genuinely believes he's about to be hit. Then Reiner just lets go, steps back, breathes. I have been scared for years, he says, very quietly. I don't get to show it, the version of me that shows it doesn't survive what's coming. Eren doesn't understand what that means. He will someday. Not soon, and not painlessly. By the 40th loop Eren has started flinching at sounds that haven't happened yet. A certain pitch of laughter, a certain creak of roof tile. Because his body has learned the shape of the next 10 minutes better than his mind wants to admit, he stops sleeping in whatever strange stretched non-time happens between resets, if sleep is even the word for it. Reiner stops talking unless spoken to. There's a version of both of them. Eren thinks that they're burning through loop by loop. The way a wick burns down inside a candle nobody asked to be lit. I'm tired, Reiner tells him eventually. Not quite an apology. I don't know how to explain what it's like to already know exactly how this feels before it happens. To know, and do it anyway. You think I don't? I think you don't know how long I've... Reiner stops himself. Actually stops, jaw working. Like a door caught half open that he's decided, at the last second, not to walk through. Never mind. Eren watches him for a long moment. There is something underneath Reiner's face that Eren has started, against his own will, to recognize, not fear of the Titans. Something older than that. Something that looks almost like relief every time the world goes white. Like a man setting down a weight he's carried so long he's forgotten his arms could ache differently. He doesn't trust it. He doesn't trust Reiner. Not the calm. Not the strength. Not the healed over cut he never explained. But he has watched this same boy carry Thomas half a mile on a dying gas tank rather than let go. Has watched him flinch at Armin's scream the same raw way every single time no matter how many times he's heard it. Somewhere around the 40th loop, Eren decides that a person can be a mystery and a comrade in the same breath. He doesn't have the luxury of sorting which parts of Reiner to trust and which to fear. He only has 640 seconds. And then he has them again. Eren doesn't know which loop is the last one, until it's already happening. There's no signal. No sense of significance settling over the rooftops like dust. It's the same warm tile. The same gauges reading full. The same distant joke about Connie drifting up from the street below. What's different is smaller than that. What's different is that when Eren sits up this time, Reiner is already sitting up too, already looking at him. And neither of them reaches for their blades. I don't want to run this one, Reiner says. Eren's whole body goes cold in a way that has nothing to do with Titans. We have to, I know. I'm not saying we won't. Reiner is looking at his own hands, turning them over like he's checking them for something. I'm saying I don't want to spend it the way we've spent the others, pretending we're only here to save him. I don't think that's all this is anymore. What else would it be? Reiner doesn't answer right away. Down in the street, Mina laughs at something. 630-something seconds, ticking down the way they always do, indifferent to whatever the two of them decide to do with them. You asked me, back at the start, how I know the way they move, Reiner says. I told you it was training. It wasn't training. He says it fast, like ripping something loose before he can think better of it. I've watched a wall fall before. Not this one, a different one. I was on the other side of it when it happened. I didn't stop it. I helped. Eren doesn't move. Somewhere in him a version of himself from the first loop, the one who still believed the world worked the way he'd been told, would be on his feet already, blade out, screaming. That Eren feels very far away right now. Some other boy's memory. Helped, he repeats. I'm not going to tell you the rest. Not because I don't owe it to you, I do. I owe you more than I know how to pay. But because if I tell you the rest out here, in the part that keeps, it doesn't stay between us anymore. It becomes a thing that happens to everyone else too. In here, Reiner gestures vaguely, at the tile, the rooftops, the whole borrowed unreal shape of the loop. In here it's just true. It doesn't have to become anything yet. You're a monster. Eren says it without heat, testing the shape of the word in his mouth, the way you'd press a bruise to see if it still hurts. Yeah, Reiner says, and there's no argument in it at all, which is somehow worse than if he'd flinched. I've known that a long time, longer than you'd believe. Eren looks at him, really looks, past the steady jaw and the soldier's calm. He spent 40 loops learning to distrust and sees, for the first time, how tired a person can get from holding one sentence in for years. He thinks of his mother, of the sound Titans make when they lift something they're about to put in their mouths, a sound he has now heard more times than he can count, aimed at someone else's best friend. instead of his own mother. And something that has been coiled tight in his chest since he was 10 years old uncoils just slightly, not into forgiveness. Nothing so simple as that, into something with room in it for another person's weight alongside his own. I'm scared of what's in me too, Eren says. He hasn't said this out loud before. Not in any loop. Not to anyone. There's something, since Mom. Since the Titan that took her. Something woke up, and it hasn't gone back to sleep. And I don't know what it is. And some days I think it's going to make me into exactly the kind of thing I hate most in the world. I don't tell anyone that. Mikasa needs me to be the angry one. Not the scared one. Armin needs me to be sure. I don't know how to be the person everyone's holding onto, and also be this scared. So I just don't say it. Anywhere. Ever. Except here, apparently. Except to you. Reiner is quiet for a long moment. Then, maybe that's what this is for. The part that doesn't keep. Maybe it's the only place either of us gets to put this down. That's a sad way to think about it. I've had a sad couple of years. A pause. Then, quieter, like he's only just let himself wonder it. What happens if it doesn't reset? This time. What happens to what we just said? I don't know, Eren admits. Neither do I. I've never gotten this far. Reiner looks, almost amused by that, in the tired way of a man who stopped expecting good news and finds the absence of bad news funny instead. Guess we'll both find out what it costs. And if it costs you everything, then it costs me everything, Reiner says, simply, like he decided this a long time ago, and has just been waiting for someone to ask. I'd rather it be true, and cost me something than stay safe and mean nothing. Reiner huffs something that isn't quite a laugh. And there's the faintest ghost of a smile in it. The first Eren seen from him in longer than he can count. For a moment, one moment, borrowed like all the rest of them, it feels less like two soldiers waiting to fail the same rescue for the however manyth time, and more like two boys who have simply told each other the truth, which is a thing Eren realizes, with a strange ache, he cannot remember doing with anyone else in his life. Not even the people he loves best. Below them. Mina finishes her joke. Connie laughs. Thomas says something about the East Alley. Come on, Reiner says, standing, offering a hand down. Let's go be scared of the right thing today. Eren takes it. They don't do anything different, tactically. That's the strange part. Eren will turn over later. If there is a later to turn it over in. They take the same rooftop route. Hit the same alley. Meet the same two titans in the same order. Reiner still pulls Thomas left. Eren still can't outfly a dying gas tank. Armin still ends up in the same hands, at the same rooftop, at the end of the same 640 seconds. Exactly the way he always has. The difference is smaller than tactics. The difference is that when Eren fires his hooks this time, 40 meters out, gauge trembling below a quarter tank, he isn't running from the 12th failure, or the 26th, or whatever raw number the loop has ground him down to. He's running with someone beside him who told him the truth about the worst thing he's ever done. And didn't ask to be forgiven for it. And Eren, impossibly, finds there's something steadying in that. Some ballast he didn't know he was missing until it was there. Reiner reaches the rooftop half a second before he ever has. Not fast enough. It was never going to be fast enough. Eren understands that now. Understands it the way you understand weather. The way you understand that some things arrive on their own schedule, no matter how hard you run at them. The Titan's hand closes around Armin's leg exactly the way it always does. And Armin is looking at Eren. The way he always does. Not afraid yet. Just confused. Still waiting to be saved right up until. The world does not go white at the edges. It doesn't reset. The scream doesn't cut off mid-note and start over. The 640 seconds keep counting past 640 for the first time since Eren stopped being able to count the times at all. The tile under his boots is the same tile it was a second ago. Not warm. Not reset beneath him. Whatever they bought back there on the rooftop. With the truth neither of them was supposed to be able to tell. It's spent now. It's real now. Whatever happens next is going to happen exactly once. Somewhere below, someone is screaming his name for what might be the very last time it's ever asked of anyone. Somewhere above, the sky over Trost is exactly the color it has been every time before. Indifferent, enormous, unhelpful, giving nothing away. Eren's blade is already coming up. Reiner is already moving beside him toward the Titan's wrist. And Eren has no idea anymore which way this version ends.